Oh, the Titans are back, and how they might have lost a couple on the trot, but now wins against Lucknow and a convincing, commanding win against Mumbai when they return home has brought their campaign back and right on track. They pick up the points and they put some space between themselves and the Mumbai Indians. They join those teams that are all fighting it out now for those top playoff spots. We'll find out why Mumbai never really looked like they were in that chase and what went wrong. On Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Time out. 56 runs is an absolute thumping 55 in T20 cricket, so you two were just off with your halftime predictions.
Just.
Yeah, that notwithstanding, why was that such a one-sided second innings, which, you know, off late we've seen some close games, Tom. This was not one of them. Why?
Firstly, I think Mohammad Shami up front was a threat every single ball. He bowled beautifully, as he has done, you know, for the last couple of years, to be fair. He's such a threat. He bowls good pace. The seam presentation is immaculate, and he's always challenging the outside or the inside edge. So that then sort of challenges any sort of momentum early, which is what they needed to basically chase down 200. They needed to hit those power play overs hard and come out of them with a 50 to 60 score without too much damage. Yeah. Mohammad Shami shot that down very quickly. And Hardik Pandya as well. He only bowled the 2 overs, but again, he's a threat. He's bowling up around 145 too. He's bowling good pace. So get past that when you've got 200 on the board.
And let's start with the start, because it looked like from there Gujarat were always miles ahead. 6 runs in the first 3. They lost Rohit Sharma, 29 in the power play, and it looked like Shami and Hardik were suddenly bowling on a different surface, which was just sailing past. Is that just 2 bowlers bowling at the best?
Yeah, maybe it quickened up a little bit. I think you lose Rohit Sharma early. And you're chasing 207. Yeah, you're up against it, and then a slow start. The runs weren't flowing. Obviously, they bowled well. It's just a perfect mix. And yeah, losing early wickets and after a slow start, you're not chasing that score. You're not gonna, more often than not, you're not gonna get there.
He bowls like a boss, Mohammad Shami, doesn't he? Both him and Siraj, they almost, you can see that these are India's 2 best bowlers, perhaps across formats, and bowled what, like a test match?
High quality, and it's a high quality bowling attack as well. Then you got Rashid Khan and these guys coming, so it's a difficult chase against that bowling attack for sure. And Shami's quality, we know that. And once he gets on top as well, any good bowler, once they're on top, it's hard to stop, and easy, smooth sailing for the rest of the journey. Yeah. I
mean, Shami and Siraj look like, and Hardik Pandya as well, look like they are India's best cricketers. They're also bowling to some of India's best cricketers in Rohit and Ishan. Didn't seem like that, though. It almost seems like for this team, if their opening doesn't fire, it's always going to be hard. Is there something wrong at the top? Because they both got scores in the odd game, Rohit and Kishan, but are they convincing you?
I think when there's movement in the air or off the seam, I think both those players look vulnerable. And to be fair, I think that you can say that across the whole of world cricket.
Sure.
I think that the game has changed quite a lot, and I think T20's had something to do with that, with regards to techniques and the way the batsmen play. As soon as we see swing or seam, we see even the best batters, modern day batters, struggle. And it's because the faster game, the T20 game, you have to have your hands in a different position. You need to be set in a different position to seek power against seek control and security, as we traditionally used to look at the game. So, I think that's one of the obvious things. As soon as we do see movement, all top orders look vulnerable. Yeah,
but you are bowling to one of the best all-format batters, technically, in Rohit Sharma. Are we seeing that, though?
Yeah, look, at the moment, it's nearly like he's teased us with a couple of performances where you think, oh, okay, here it comes, and you're waiting for those floodgates to open. But that's all we've seen. We've just seen a couple of little teasers where, well, okay, he's gonna really fire here, but he hasn't really got out of the blocks. He's shown the intent, which has been important. That's been the one thing this year, is that he's come out trying to boss it and control it from up front.
All right, killer blows though dealt by the 2 Afghan spinners, which is a lovely story in itself now that it's becoming more of a theme. But Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed bowling together, bowling in tandem, and getting wickets, 5 for 75 from the 8 overs that they bowled, which effectively just killed this game off. it's nice. It was nice to see them. We know what Rashid's all about. Nothing surprises us. But Noor Ahmed now seems to be as much a threat especially when you got 200 to chase.
Bowled in good areas, disciplined. But and Rashid Khan tonight just looked a bit better than he has so far. I think both of them bowling together as well. I think for Noor bowling with Rashid as well, that's got to give him a bit of a boost. Certainly, but yeah, bowled on the stumps and bowled good lengths. I suppose again, it's when you're also defending a big score and you've lost a couple of early wickets, it does get easier. Of course. Certainly through those middle overs. So.
We said this a little while earlier about the impact of Rashid Khan, even if he doesn't get among the wickets, but he's among the wickets. He's leading the purple cap race, and you made a point earlier that Rashid seems hungrier, even by his very high standards. Are we seeing Rashid Khan at a higher level, even from what we've seen before this season?
Yeah, it's interesting. What I'm noticing is the opposition are taking a slightly different approach against Rashid Khan. They're taking a higher risk against him. Therefore, that presents opportunities to take wickets where we saw previously people think, oh gosh, let's just get in and out of his 24 balls without any damage, and then we'll try to catch up with the other bowlers that are around. But I've seen a number of teams try to play him a lot more aggressively, still without any idea of which way it's turning, and that's not going to change as long as he's bowling, because that's the mystery of Rashid Khan. Just to pick up on what Tait said with regards to tonight, I saw there was some more energy through the crease with his bowling tonight, and therefore when he has that real energy through the crease, you get that real kick off the surface. And the biggest surprise for anyone that sees Rashid Khan up close, and that when I mean up close, I mean with bat in hand facing him, or if you're taking him from a coach's point of view with a glove up at the stumps, is the pace he generates off the pitch. It really is alarming. You're sort of expecting it just to go like that, but it actually flies off the wicket. But he's getting that speed off the pitch, plus he's getting that bounce. So it's not a good sign for the batters.
Yeah, we're seeing the best of him. Are we likely to see more of this? Because you think as a coach, you think Rashid and Noor has turned out to be a masterstroke in both games that we've seen them now. And is this now the potent pairing that we'll see ahead of maybe even an Alzari Joseph, who could swap around with Josh Little? But these two seem to be a serious threat if things go forward.
Yeah, I think it gives them a really exciting option. It's particularly at home because it's a big venue. So I think that helps. I think if the wickets do dry out a little bit and then there's a little bit more assistance turn-wise, it could be a combination they do stick with, because they do complement each other. They're very different. But I wouldn't ink it in. Because someone like Alzari Joseph, which we talked about pre-show, he's a pretty special bowler, and it's nice to have someone that can bowl up to 150.
Well, it's sign of a good squad if you have all these options to play from as the tournament gets more and more close and competitive. Now, we've spoken of Rohit Sharma. Now, 3 of their big guns just fired blanks today, or maybe 4 if you count Kishan. We've spoken of Rohit and Kishan. Tilak Verma's had a good season. We'll let him go for this one. But Tim David, I know you can't read much into an early dismissal sometimes, but you think David's carrying a huge role in this team, and it's okay to watch David fire and fall short like we've seen earlier. But does he not fire enough? Is it almost fair to expect a little more out of Tim David? This would be a very disappointing way to get out today.
Yeah, I guess he's a sort of player that if there's some runs on the board and he comes at a comfortable time, he's extremely dangerous. So maybe it's critical, but maybe the next step in his game is to maybe, you mentioned off screen about Pollard, maybe getting a few ones first down the ground, giving yourself an over to just get yourself in, and then you can launch. So I felt like he pulled the trigger a bit early tonight.
We use the Pollard reference very often for David, Tom, and is that a fair reference for him? Because you almost start expecting him to play a bit like Pollard. Does he have the ability, B, the game sense to play that way?
I think if you're comparing him with Pollard, when you do compare players, you compare them at the beginning of their career against someone that's at the peak of their powers. Pollard was one of the game's greats, and one of the great finishers. I think Tim David will potentially reach those heights, but he's at the infant stages of that particular role. He's got all the ingredients that Pollard's got. he just needs to learn and understand the game a little bit more, and he'll only get that with playing opportunity.
A tough situation he was in, but he had to score quickly. But maybe just that maturity going forward of the second ball, which is a full toss, doesn't you can give yourself a few more deliveries maybe. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Still early days. It's only his sort of second proper season, Tim David, and he's been given the confidence for a run of games only this season. Didn't see that previously. Let's have a quick look at the points table, shall we? It's all Gujarat Titans at the moment, as Hardik Pandya gets the better of Rohit Sharma. It's putting a little bit of a gap between the top two and the rest. We've seen everyone's playing 7 games now, so it's the halfway point complete. The Super Kings and the Titans at the top, the Royals and the Super Giants hot on their heels, RCB and Punjab Kings with the same wins but differentiated only with a negative run rate. And there's a bit of a scuffle down at the bottom with 6-4-4-4 from Mumbai, Kolkata, Sunrisers, Delhi. Though after this performance, you sense that's fair reflection of the Titans. They look a dangerous team. Super Kings have exceeded expectations. That points table is now perhaps giving us an indication of how the rest of the league will look like?
Potentially, but it wouldn't surprise me to see someone just sort of shoot out of nowhere, because that's what a long tournament does. And I think there's still a few twists and turns for it to take, particularly with the injuries that we've seen and the potential exit of a few players with commitments before the end of the tournament. So I think there's a bit to play out yet. I think right down the bottom it's going to be a tough road for those that have only got the 2 wins, but I wouldn't be writing off Mumbai Indians yet.
Good Russ? Yeah.
I was about to say that's the team that usually, they can leave a late run and shoot up. Mumbai, but I mean you look at that and go, okay, the safe call is the top 5 there with Bangalore. That's looking at a safe call, but Mumbai still that. Get that feeling they're still that side,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at that one more time, and you know that the Super Kings are the story of the IPL with the resources that they've lost in Deepak Chahar, Ben Stokes, and yet managed to stay up there. You expected the Royals and the Super Giants, strong squads that they were last year, to keep going. There were some questions on whether the Titans can back up a championship-winning season, and halfway through it, I guess they only look more dangerous now, Tom. They had a couple of losses that we were looking and wondering, oh, what's this going to do with the Titans? But they seem to have responded like champions.
Very much so. And it's interesting. I was only sort of thinking as you were introducing that topic that I actually think they look a better side this year than they did last year. And that's only going to bode well for them if they continue to sort of bounce back like they have done after a couple of defeats. But again, it's a long road for them. The Chennai Super Kings one is the real interesting one. And the one thing I think about them is not only the creativity and the leadership they've got and the culture they've got at that franchise, but I think it's also the wave that's following that franchise around the country with the Dhoni factor. It's just everywhere they go, it nearly feels like they're playing at home. You look into the stands, it's all yellow. You look at the cheering for Dhoni. That in itself has to give you a huge advantage if you're a travelling team with MS Dhoni. And
of course, a bulk of their home games are towards the end of the season. They've not even played a large part of their home games yet. So watch out for the Super Kings. Watch out for the Titans. They were excellent today, as were Shaun Tait and Tom Moody. Not for their predictions, but their analysis is always spot on. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Tom, you have a few days off. Please enjoy it.
Thank you.
Teddy, I will see you back here tomorrow. And we look forward to your company then. RCB KKR always give us twists and turns and interesting story points. So we look forward to your company then on Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Time. Do download the mobile app. That points table is worth looking at and revisiting again and again. If Mumbai do fall short, if they do come close to a playoff spot, then they'd look at a game like this where they've suffered a 55-run defeat. Net run rate could be oh so vital this season, especially with how close it might get. For now, the Titans are looking very good. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.